going to open with the serenity prayer.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, indifference.
And I'd like to introduce Bill McPhie today. He's very involved in the family program and children of recovering alcoholics, and he's been in this field for several years, and here he is today. Thank you.
And I haven't even said anything yet. You applaud that way. I'm an alcoholic. My name is Bill. Hey, Bill. We have a pretty full house here tonight. This is to stabilize me at my age. I sometimes get unstable. I'll be talking to you and sometimes fall right into your lap. So I use this now. I told my friend Jim West at the Betty Ford Center, I said, Jim, sometimes I walk like as if I'm drunk. And he said, well, Bill, that's the age. That's what happens. So the mind is still young, but the body's beginning to wear a tiny bit. I'm so happy to see so many family members. I mean, this is a good turnout. Be aware that we are filming this. However, nobody's face will be shown, so your anonymity is protected. Maybe some of you have had your picture taken before in other places. And you're not too worried about whether you're seen on camera or not. I'm an alcoholic, as I said. I'm a father of 3 children, a grandfather to 6 children. And my sobriety date is September the 23rd, 1963. I appreciate that. And I will not display any false modesty by saying I had nothing to do with it, because I did. I followed the instructions that were outlined that says, rarely have we seen a person fail. And I followed the instructions. So I am a part of the 44 years. Now, yet I must tell you, by myself, I could not have done it alone. Yet I am a part of it because I did the footwork. And when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, there were no recovery centers. There were no detox centers. And so I'd get a call from the central office, and I'd stop at the liquor store on the way to call on the man, and I'd pick up a pint of booze, jar of honey, a package of Camel cigarettes, and go there and evaluate whether or not he was going to go into DTs. If he was, I gave him a drink. And that's the way we did it in the early days. But consider this, if you will. That's what Bill Wilson did. That's what Dr. Bob did. There were no detox centers in those days, no recovery centers, no big book, no 12 and 12, but people managed to stay sober for one reason only. One drunk talking to another drunk, sharing their experience and what has happened to them. So, I am a part of my sobriety. I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, to a Mormon bishop. How's that? For maybe 13 years, and then became a member of the High Council. I was ordained into that religion, baptized, and still today even hold the position of a priest in the Mormon religion. I don't practice that religion, by the way. However, I think it's a fine religion. And 20 years ago, that religion decided that they were losing the children, and the children were not coming to church. So they started a plan, and the plan was every Monday night, the family would get together. Everybody in the family. No telephone calls, no television, nothing except the family saying, what happened to you this last week? And then the member would relate. So between them, they began to form a unity that they had started to lose. Almost everything I say to you today, consider will relate to the family. Because your family of origin must be dealt with in order for you to recover. So, everything I say will refer back to the family and the alcoholism. Every alcoholic or addict, I don't care. See, I'm one of those kind of guys that I don't care if you shoot it, you snort it, you pop it, you swallow it, you eat it. I don't care what it is. Addiction is addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever it might be. There's one problem and there's only one solution. Now that makes it very, very simple, to me at least. So, addiction affects, in our particular area, 1 out of 10. I think maybe it's a little bit bigger than that. But I started out as a young child, excuse my voice, I've got a cold, or I'm getting over a cold. So excuse me if I squeak once in a while. I grew up in this house. My father was a Mormon bishop. He worked during the day and took care of the church at night. My mother raised 7 children. We had a total of 9. Now, if you take that 9 and multiply it times 9 months, that's 81 months. That's almost 7 years my mother carried a baby. I can tell, I'm the youngest, I can tell the age of my siblings just by going every 2 years. Every 2 years, mother had a baby. She always had a baby in diapers. The reason I tell you that is because there was no time to read Bill bedtime stories. As you can well imagine, she was sewing, she was canning. We were born during the Depression. And you went out and you got fruit and you brought it home and you canned it and put it down in the basement where it was cold. And that's what you lived on. We had rabbits and chickens, and that's what you did for meat. So my parents loved me. As a matter of fact, I wound up the favorite in the family. I was the youngest, I was the favorite. And I got away with things that none of my brothers or sisters ever got away with. Now that sounds good, but we know today that the favorite in the family is the most damaged, the most crippled. And it was not meant to be that way. Certainly my parents never meant to cripple me. But when you select a favorite and that favorite gets extra leeway, space, slack, if you will, this sometimes encourages him to do other things and get away with it, so that later on it affects the youngest member of the family. I grew up in that town in Salt Lake City, and I married a young lady. She was 18, I was 25. Her father was a raging alcoholic. Surprise, huh? No surprise. There are very few surprises left in this game, very few. We know so much more today than we did 44 years ago. So the little lady married me and we moved to California and I got into television.